before we start, can I request everybody to turn off your cell phones, please? Thank you.
We've got to take pictures, so how can we silence?
So turn off your cell
Silent.
phone. Silent your. Yeah, put your phones on silent. No, take your phone. Get your phones on silent. Silent mode.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today, especially on a Sunday. My name is Cara Manso, and I'm a care worker and the coordinator of Caregivers Action Center. I came to Canada under the Live-In Caregiver program and had to fight for justice and decent work. Today, I am here to stand with my sisters to call on the government for landed status upon arrival. Before that, let me first explain the format of the day. Today, I am joined by care workers who will share their stories and talk to us about what we need change. First, I will speak, and then I will invite Christina, Astuti, Winnie, and Janelle to speak. Each of them will make a short statement. Following that, there will be a short question and answer period. I'm going to ask the media to direct the questions to me, and then I will ask one of them to respond. We are here today to launch a new report called Care Workers, Voices for Fairness and Landed Status, which you will have a copy of. The report has been produced by care workers and their organizations across Canada. It's a compilation of surveys, focus groups, and interviews done by, in parts, by women sitting with me. It features over 150 care workers, stories that demonstrate the painful impacts of family separation, low wages, confusing laws and policies, and racialized women. It is also a call for change. Today, in Ottawa, Montreal, Edmonton, and Vancouver, as well as here in Toronto, we are calling on the federal government to give care workers permanent resident status on arrival right now through the creation of a new federal workers program. While that is happening, we are asking for immediate reforms to ensure that we can change jobs, be able to apply for permanent residency, and be reunited with our families. Today is a historic event. For too long, we have seen experts, lawyers, government officials speak in behalf of care workers. Today, we are here to speak for ourselves. We have come together today for no other reason but to demand for fairness and permanent resident status on arrival. Our research confirms what we already know from our experience. Care workers suffer enormously because they haven't seen their families for a long time. We know and learned that care workers are working long hours without sufficient pay. We found that most workers were being underpaid by about $10,000. We also learned that, as we know, that most workers are facing many problems in applying for permanent residency. The report outlines how the current program is not working for us care workers and that we need fair solution. This is our demand. Care workers are calling on Canada to replace the broken Caregiver program with a new program that will end precarious status, forced family separation, and exploitative working conditions, while improving access to the critical care that care workers give to all Canadians. This requires creating a new permanent immigration stream for migrant care workers. And in the meantime, creating open work permits, removing discriminatory language, education, and second medical exam requirements, and granting permanent residency to workers in the country. The current Caregiver program is set to expire in November of 2019. That's 1 year from now. We are running out of time. This is a crisis. On average, about 8,000 care workers come to Canada yearly over the last 5 years. Those coming in who have no idea if they will be able to apply for permanent residency once they have finished 24 months of service. We are living in limbo without answers. Canada made us a promise that if we worked 24 hours a day, low paid and difficult jobs, suffered family separation, and jumped through hoops, we may be able to get permanent residency. Except many are being denied, and many will soon not be able to apply. The promise we were made should not be broken. This is a question of ethics and integrity. We don't simply want an extension of the current pilot project because it puts us in an exploitative work condition. Instead, the government should create a new federal workers program for care workers that provides landed status upon entry for care workers and our families. This would add a new immigration stream into the Canadian system, details of which have been outlined on the report. Creating this program is not about giving special preference to care workers. Instead, it is about providing us the most basic human rights that everyone already has. Canada has an aging population. Children, the elderly, the sick needs care. It is a permanent need. The economy can't work without care work. We are the people ensuring that everyone is healthy. Giving us our basic human rights will ensure that everyone in Canada will be better off. While this new program is being developed, there are some quick and needed changes that the government must do. First, care workers who have completed 1 year of service should be able to apply for permanent residency. This is the norm for many other migrants. Number two, all care workers must get open work permits without labor market impact assessment or the LMIA. Care workers are forced to work for the employer listed on their permit, but everyone has the basic right to leave a bad job. We want the same. Third, care workers are currently required to complete 1 year of Canadian post-secondary equivalent education to apply for permanent residency. But we are not allowed to, or it's very hard to study while working. The new educational requirement should be removed. Fourth, the English language test prior to permanent residency should be removed. Care workers have been here and showed that they have skills and have been able to provide care. So they have functioned as care workers. Fifth, the new caps allow only 2,750 permanent residency application each year in each caregiving stream. So it should be removed. There are over 5,500 care workers coming to Canada just in the childcare stream. The discretionary caps for permanent residency application means that at least half of us won't be able to apply for permanent residency. Sixth, the permanent residency backlog should be resolved. Thousands of care workers have been waiting for up to 10 years to reunite with their families because no one's looking at their application. Seventh, spouses and children should be allowed to join us with open and study permits on their own. Eighth, remove the second medical that is required when applying for permanent residency. This change has been sneaked in the pilot project and adds unnecessary financial barriers and delays. Ninth is Section 38(1)(c) of the Immigration Refugee Protection Act, which is called Medical Inadmissibility Rule, should be repealed because it denies permanent residency to an entire family even if one of the members has disability. You will hear today and read today that experiences of workers that drove us to coming to this recommendation. Our first speaker today will share with us her experience of family separation. This is one of the most common things we heard in our report, which is why today we are calling permanent residency status on arrival with our families. Let us welcome Christina Kaalin.
You can move them closer if you want.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Kaalin, and I'm a member of Caregiver Connections Education and Support Organization. We are one of the groups of care workers which conducted surveys in this report. Dozens of members participated. I am here to say that all of us deserve permanent residency upon arrival. I came to Canada as a care worker under Live-in Caregiver program in August of 2011. I finished my 2 years of service in record time and applied in September 2013. I was happy that I had managed to finish my 24 months quickly because many care workers aren't able to do so. Yet, today, I sit in front of you, 5 years later, still waiting for permanent residency or to be able to be reunited with my family. In these last 5 years, I have been asked to resubmit my family medical examination 2 times. And yet, each time it expires, decisions never come back. And I'm still waiting. As we all know, family is the basic unit of society. It is in families that love, support, care, sharing, good, bad, and beautiful moments develop and grow. Us, the care workers, are separated from our families for a long time, and we are denied these moments. This causes so many problems for many care workers like me and the family left behind back home. This is where mental health issues arises in different forms: depression, anxiety, physical, emotional, and even spiritual. I have met some people that suffer depression, not being able to have family support close by while going through difficulties at work. 9 months ago, my son had a motorcycle accident, where his life is 50-50. He underwent brain surgery. Thanks God that he survived. He is recovering. But he suffered temporary memory loss. He even forgot my name. So this is the most difficult part of my life, where I cannot go back home in the same month to take care of my son and to make sure that he remembered me. During those days, I was very hopeless, frustrated, and so depressed, and very stressed financially, because back home, all the hospital bills are on us. All the money that I saved for their coming are all sent for hospital bills, and not even enough. I even used my credit cards, in which I am still paying. Situation could be different if our application was approved, at least within the standard processing time. He would have been with me if he would have been with me and wouldn't have that accident. Life is short, and the opportunity that this government is taking for us to be with our families has a huge impact in our life. No one can guarantee that we are still alive the next day. Like the migrant worker in Manitoba, Mary Claire de Guzman, who had stroke and died eventually. Her family wasn't able to stay good by her side on her last day. I have been waiting in Canada on a temporary work permit for 62 months after finishing my 2 years of services. I've been separated from my family for 7 years, and I'm still waiting, and this is not fair. I believe that all care workers deserve to be with our families from day one. I call on to this government to give us landed status on arrival. And to those of us like me who are already in the country, if we have finished 1 year of service, we should get permanent residency immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. As Christina outlined, the pain and suffering of being away from our families takes a massive toll in our lives. She is one among thousands of care workers who share the same story. 25 of care workers surveyed reported family separation as one of the biggest problems with the program. We want to be with our families just like everyone else. We all need to come to Canada with permanent resident status with our families from day one. Until that is being created, all care workers and our families should be able to come with open work permits. Our next speaker will talk about difficult barriers in getting permanent residency. The current Caregiver program was created without consulting us in 2014. It created new educational and language requirements. reintroduce a second medical exam, and impose a discriminatory cap. The next speaker will speak to the impacts of changes and the necessity of permanent residency status on arrival with our families. Please welcome Astuti. Just to be clear, that's her whole name.
Thank you, Kara. Good morning, everyone. My name is Astuti, a member from the Caregiver Action Center. I have been putting this together with by the Republic by conducting survey with another caregiver. We will need to permanent resident status on the way. We need the permanent resident status on arrival with our family, and we need change for care workers who are already here, just like me. I am from Indonesia, and I come to Canada on February 12, 2016. Under the current caregiver program, I have finished my 24 months, but I'm still unable to apply for PR. We can really enforce the hope. We need transparency from the government. We need a new federal worker program for care workers that give us landing status upon arrival in our family. I have so much hope being able to working here in Canada, but it was really challenging to finish all requirements in the program. I don't know what's going to happen to me after it finished in November 2019. My education only was high school when I got the work permit based on this. They told me that I could get my permanent status once I finished my 24 months. But when I finished, I found out that I'm not eligible to apply for permanent resident. We have to show 1 year's Canadian post-secondary school to apply for permanent resident. But how I get this 1 year's? Well, when I was going to 24 months, I was not available to study. Now that I have completed, I will need to get admission in the college or university and pay international fee around $50 to $1,000. I have get to study visa, which requirement me to show that I have enough money to live here without working. I have been separate from my family long enough. I have to somehow pay for my children back home and fulfilling this necessary requirement. Find way to be able to send money for my children to go to school in my country. For over 16 years, we have been coming to Canada on basic of our skill and being able to work here and then live here permanently. Why does government suddenly requires us to do 1 year of Canadian education? We have been providing care and we have successfully done that language skill we have. And now suddenly the government have created a new English that which encompasses nothing. The English language that's priority for permanent residents should be removed. There are many of us being impacted, and I am asking the Canadian public, the government too, to keep them promise because we are promised permanent resident with our family here. Thank you.
Thank you, Astuti. As you can see in the report, care workers experience these barriers in applying for permanent residency. They have been spending thousands of dollars on international student fees and language test fees. Many of care workers are still unable to apply and may have to make the difficult decision to become undocumented. Canada made a promise that if we work hard, we will eventually be able to reunite with our families and live here with permanent resident status. This promise is being broken. This is not fair. We want a new federal workers program that treats us with our work with dignity and respect that we deserve. Our barriers are not only the requirements in applying for permanent residency, but also the exploitative labor conditions during the time we are completing the 24 months on our tied work permits. There are few labor laws that provide adequate protections for migrant care workers who are unable to easily leave jobs. This is why we need permanent resident status on arrival, and in the lead up to that, open work permits. Please welcome my sister, my comrade, a dear leader, Winnie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Winnie. I'm here as a caregiver talking about permanent solution and the labor work, because we labor and we work very hard. I came in Canada, I'm a caregiver member, Action Center. I came to Canada in September 2014. My dream was to work hard, and one day I was hoping I'll stay in Canada and bring my children and bring my family in Canada. But better enough, I work hard, and finally I get a bomb and burst. It's like balloon. My employer, he was controlling my life in everything. Even told me not talk with anyone in Canada because I'll take you back home in Kenya. I stay in this solution. It was hard, but I didn't have anything but, and I didn't know my right but to work. My salary was $300 per month. I was told to my employer he cannot afford salary in Canadian, not because he was poor, but it was pressing me down, and even he cannot pay in minimum age, but not because we were poor. It is because the caregiver program, they are heading on the power of our employer. I didn't want much money, but I want the minimum age for my salary. I work, and everyone get as a minimum age. I added work 6 days, sometimes 7 days, 12 hours per day. I never get a chance for a holiday or a vacation. I felt so bad in my heart, and I chose to work. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to start. I had to leave my employer house, sleeping in air mattress in basement with no privacy, no dorm. I was putting my clothes in a suitcase. And that room is for the family people to come to watch TV, and the children jumping on my air mattress. I was very disappointed, and I was crying day and night. This went on for whole 2 years. I live in this condition and situation, but my employer refused to give me papers to say that I finished 2 years for him, which the rules say I need to apply my PR. So today I'm still fighting for my PR. Like other care workers, we need status and third for our employer. This is why I couldn't leave my job. Most people in Canada, they can leave the job when they treated very badly. Workers should be able to do so as well. We need RADED status right now. Family United and Justice for Caregiver are ready here. I sacrificed so much, work day and night, to be treated badly. One day, I said to myself, enough is enough. He treated me as well, but I get to move. My employer get mad when I told him I will report him. A lot of the care workers like me ended homeless when they try to assist our basic right. This is unfair system. I need a change. We need to want the government to just drain and current program. We want the total solution. Finally, Canada made a promise that they will protect us and they will get the permanent resident. The government must be better and to keep his promise. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Winnie, for sharing your story. What you went through is unfair. And these experiences, these stories that care workers are sharing today can also be seen in our report. Many care workers are facing the same. Having a tied work permit allows employers to have simply too much power over our work and even our own lives. We don't want just an extension of the current caregiver program. We want landed status now for us and for our families. When care workers get fired or make difficult decisions to leave a bad job or their employers die, it is extremely hard or confusing to get new work permits. Our next speaker has a supportive employer. Imagine how hard it is to get permits if their employers don't support them. This is why it is important that care workers come with landed status upon arrival with their families, and for care workers who are already here to get open work permits without having to get labor market impact assessment or the LMIA. Please welcome our fourth speaker for today, Janelle Heresco.
Thanks for looking, Mike.
Hi, I am here today as a volunteer on behalf of the individual care workers out there who are having the same issues with me. So I am representing them. I am Janelle Heresco, currently working as a care worker. I arrived here in Canada September 6th of 2016, and I work with a family who sponsored me. Unfortunately, I need to resign from that job because of a bad sleeping arrangement. So I sleep in a basement without a separate room, only with a single mattress. I don't have even a cabinet or a drawer for me to put my things in. I live out in my luggage bag since the time that I arrived there. The children are just allowed to play in the basement, even during my resting period. No privacy for me at all. I even buy my own food during my day off. I just wanted my basic human rights. They never give me the keys for the house. One winter night, I left my employer's house for the weekend, but I missed the last bus on my way home. So my employer told me that she's gonna come and pick me up. I've waited for 4 hours in the bus stop under the heavy snow. I feared of my life. I almost couldn't feel my body. It was unjust. All I wanted was to be safe. The government promised us to protect us, but broken it. Eventually, I was able to find an employer who applied a labor market impact assessment for me, and then I was able to get a work permit. This is the same employer that I'm working up to today. Months and years pass without any problem with my employment, not until we're getting closer to the end of my contract. Now we're facing the challenge. My work permit will expire on March 26th of 2019, which is 15 days shorter to complete my 24 months of service, which I am required to finish in order for me to apply my residency. My employer is willing to let me work for those 15 days, but the government says they need to apply for the labor market impact assessment, or the LMIA, and then for me to get a work permit. To renew a new LMIA, this means spending huge amount of dollars that goes to advertising and recruitment agencies and LMIA fees. Not all the employers will want to spend thousands of dollars just to keep the same care worker. So the cost end up being downloaded to us care workers. Sometimes we cannot do anything, so we will shoulder the expenses just to keep our work and status. We need to agree in some certain setups for us to be employed, complete our 24 months, and obtain legal status while applying and waiting for our decision for our PR applications. This is unnecessarily complicated and expensive system. Care workers should be able to come here with permanent resident status and our family when come here in Canada. Those of us here today are already Those of us who are here already should just get an open work permit rather than our employers to reapply for the LMIA every time. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. The current Caregiver program was a pilot program created in 2014 by the previous conservative government without consulting us, any of us care workers. The program is clearly not working for us. We need the government to listen to us. These are our voices. We can't continue to live in limbo. And I want to emphasize clearly, we need landed status now. As you heard today, the current Caregiver program allows for exploitation and abuse. It is difficult to change jobs. It is difficult to get permanent residency. We were made a promise that we could get permanent residency. That promise is being broken. This is about integrity. We aren't asking for special rules. We're asking for some of the basic rights everyone has. These changes aren't just for us. We are calling for a care strategy that makes everyone in the country healthy. We are in limbo, but we are acting with hope and courage. We are calling on people to support us. We are calling on Canada to give us permanent residency upon arrival, with our families, as well as making those immediate reform. I want to thank you all for being here on a Sunday and listening patiently with us. I am sure you have lots of questions, but many of us speak many other languages before we learned English. So please ask your questions slowly and direct them to me, and then I will invite one of the speakers to respond.
I have a question for Winnie. I know you said you left your employer 2 years ago. I was wondering about your current status. What are you doing now?
So I will answer for Winnie. Winnie has been working for 24 months, and she has shared in her story how important it is to get permanent residency. And I think the system has created so much problems in care workers that they end up losing status or waiting for the response to get permanent residency.
It's the open permit first, I think it's the open permit first that she has to get, right?
Hello everyone. When I apply my status, I have open work permit right now, which government give me this year in June. But for PR, it is very difficult because my employer said I work for him 22 months. Normally, I know I finish 2 years, and I added 2 more months before I leave him. He didn't give me any record. He directed the record to the government, which government told me it is very hard to give me permanent resident because I didn't finish, but I did. When I moved in that employer, he didn't give me anything, even T4, he didn't give me even record to say that I work for him. It is because of the abuse and hatred, because he doesn't want me to get my papers. That is why the caregiver, they are suffered when our employer come to us as abuse and hate us, and through all frustration. The frustration we meet, it is because they have the power to control our life. And they have the power because when they said something to the government, we don't have the voice to tell the government I work. Now I'm fighting here and there, many people writing the letter for me to say Win work for him 24 months. We see Win when he arrived in Canada. We see Winnie washing the car outside. We see Win pushing the snow outside. We see Win taking care of the children, getting them home, and also go to the park. So it is very difficult as a care workers when we work for the employer because they have all the powers. And when you face the government, they can't listen to you, you work. And definitely you know you work. It is because we do not know our rights and we don't know where to go. When you come to a foreign country, you don't know where to go and you don't know where to start. You know only that person when you enter in the house. You don't know about the neighbor and you don't know about the other neighbor. You know only one person, the one who brought you here in Canada. It is very difficult situation, very, very stubbornness. We can't face even our children. Sometimes we don't have the phone because you don't have the money to buy the phone to talk to your children. It is very difficult and very bad situation as we are facing as a caregiver. Thank you.
So those are all the questions we are able to take. So thank you very much for attending. May we ask the media to step out so we can continue with our meeting with care workers.